We're ready.
Perfect.
And Roger's here. Now we can start.
Just now.
We were waiting for you, Roger.
Roger, you're here.
All right, you guys ready?
At DeMarco's.
Good evening. Let's call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Rochester Downtown Development Authority for Wednesday, March 19, 2025. Madam Recording Secretary, the roll, please.
Eric Diana.
Here.
Bob DiTomaso.
Here.
Lisa Germani Williams. Tanya Karsten.
Here.
Roger Knapp.
Yes.
Tony LaPuma.
Here.
Bob Bloomingdale.
Here.
Paul Hay.
Here.
Mayor Salvia. Chairman Giovanelli.
Here.
Marilyn Trent. Don Sinkowitz. Here. Christy Trevorrow.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Thank God the quorum bus showed up. A few minutes ago, I was getting a little worried, but good evening, folks. Appreciate everybody making some time for us this evening. Let's, as the kids say, pitter patter, let's get at her. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from February 19. Is there any questions or a motion in our future?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Haig,
I'll second it.
support by Karsten. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Audience comments? Seeing none, we shall move forward. Liaison reports. City Council, the Honorable Marilyn Trent. Good evening, madam.
Good evening. It's a lovely evening today, or this evening. So we've had two city council meetings. One was the first one was February 24th, and Rochester has been designated a tree city for the 13th year in a row. And city manager Banda works very hard on that. There's paperwork that needs to be done and activities that need to go along with that paperwork. So it's a program and is administered by the Arbor Day Foundation and in partnership with the USDA Forest Service and National Association of State Foresters. So congratulations to the city of Rochester. Well, also there is cleaning of headstones in the cemetery because we've got some very old ones all the way back to Revolutionary War soldiers. There's a few in there. And America 250 is coming up, the 250-year anniversary next year. So the Daughters of the American Revolution has partnered with the city and got some high school students to do the cleaning, and they're starting that. They're going to be starting that. It's been approved. The Paint Creek Trailways Commission is looking for a new trail manager. If just to make that announcement to anyone that is listening, and any of you, someone looking for a trail manager job. So on March 10th, we now have nonprofits that come and present to the city council to talk about the local nonprofit and what they do for our community. Because a lot of nonprofits, they do a lot of work, good hard work that not everyone knows. So Karen Malsbury, the Director of Career Readiness, presented. And it's really a cool program that she administers. It's Rochester Community Schools offers a robust career and technical education program that she oversees. Is to design to prepare students for high wage, high skill, and high demand careers without going to college. And the district currently provides 13 state-approved CTE programs, 9 credentials, and supports 7 career and technical student organizations. And they also place students as interns to see if they actually want any of these type of jobs. One of them was the police academy, and they presented a month ago. Christy Trevorrow presented about renewing the PSD budget what do you call it?
Public hearing.
What?
Set in the public hearing for the assessment?
Yes, setting the public hearing, sorry, yes, for the PSD, and we did a great presentation, very thorough. And so we're going to set the public hearing, and I think.
We're seeing you next
Sorry.
Monday for public hearing.
It's been a long day. Okay.
I feel you, yes. Next
Please
Monday.
help me here, Christy. She knows, she's a rest to finish my sentences. I just got back from Lansing, so anyway, I have an excuse. Yeah, so we're going to have a public hearing on Monday. And at the city council. And we also approved the outdoor dining deck program.
Excellent.
Okay.
That's it.
On behalf of restaurants everywhere in Rochester.
Round of applause. Thank you for that report. Yeah, Karen Mulsbury is excellent. She does a fantastic job for the schools. In fact, she placed an intern at my company a few years ago, so it was great. Yeah, Roger.
I think I brought this up before, but why do we have a fence around the cemetery?
Why do we?
Yeah.
Well, when you and my husband were friends early in our previous life, it wasn't there. That is true. There was no fence.
No, it's been there as long as I can remember, but it's even, when I was in high school, we used to run track around that.
It was down for a while, because I know his dog ran around.
But
my
I've
husband's
never
dog.
been sure why, sometimes the fence looks a little old or whatever, and I don't know why we have it. I mean, it doesn't seem to be easier to mow, be probably cheaper to mow, we wouldn't have to be trimming around it, and I don't see any use for it. I mean, somebody could tell me if there's a use, I don't know
I
what
think
they
it
would be.
keeps people out of it in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that was the big thing when I was on council,
Was the what?
it was
In the
security to
middle of the
keep
night.
people out of it.
Well, although they can climb it,
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to stop
your
with
climate.
legislating morality, you're never going to be
I
able to do
can't
that.
imagine anybody that wanted to get in that cemetery couldn't get over that fence.
Right, but not with a car, so.
Yeah.
That was, at least that's what we talked about. You want to keep the bad guys out, and you want the
I've
people
seen
in there to feel
Plenty of
comfortable.
cemeteries without fences.
I have two. Yes, that
I
is
mean,
it.
the one on Orion Road in Orion, they don't have a fence around that. But I've seen them all over.
We still have a subcommittee for the
Yes, we do.
cemetery?
And we
Yeah,
were actually wanting, there were some people that live in the neighborhood wanted a better looking fence.
yeah, for sure. I know Jack DeFranco was one of those guys on there, so maybe
It
that
certainly
would be.
doesn't keep the deer out.
Right.
No,
For
Right.
sure.
Yeah, no, they, up and over.
yeah, so,
Any other questions for our city council member, Marilyn Trent? Thank you for your report. Seeing none, we shall march forward. Chamber of Commerce, Mr. DiTomaso.
Yes, Maggie wanted to thank DDA for all the support at the Community Outlook Breakfast. Nothing but positive feedback from that day. I attended. It was a fun day, a good event. The Chamber Board is doing a SWOT analysis looking at, why people join the Chamber, why people leave the Chamber, and, trying to start some new questionnaires, some simple 3-question questionnaires asking what people would, what additional things they would like to see from the chamber. And I know one of the things they're looking into developing additional networking opportunities, and that often comes from suggestions. So they have, coffee talk in the morning on Fridays once a month. I just left Biz and Brews, which is an evening, 5 p.m. They do a midday mingle. They're trying to find, what else are people looking for out of the chamber? Apparently, some people said they're looking for the sticker to put on their door that says, they support their community chamber, but most of the people are looking for something beyond that. And we want to
networking.
know how we can better serve that, so. And that's it.
All right, fantastic. Any questions for our Chamber of Commerce liaison? Seeing none, marching forward. Historical Commission, Mr. Sienkiewicz, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Hopefully everyone realizes that on this coming Sunday, March 23rd, is the Founder's Day at the Rochester Museum. The main speaker will be Carol Igbo. She'll talk about the approximately 12 tribes that were active in the Oakland County area during that period of time. According to her, around 1795, that period. She also indicated that the tribes were also looking for the same thing that the Grantham family was looking for. They were looking for waterways, hunting, and land for farming. So she gave the Historical Commission a summary review of her presentation, and it should be very, very interesting. As we know, during the Founder's Day Festival, we'll have entertainment, live entertainment, the Irish dancers, the bagpipe player. Also, there'll be food, entertainment, and should be a very good time. I also wanted to mention another issue with the Founder's Day is we did deliver the coloring books to all the Rochester Community School second graders. Approximately 1,000 coloring books were distributed, and in those coloring books, it does talk about Founder's Day and the the tribes that were in the area and all the farming that went on during that period of time. And we also distribute the coloring books to the Holy Family School, St. John's, and Oak Harbor School. And I wanted to mention about Oak Harbor was that I had the opportunity to attend one of their benefits, and it was really nice to see all the Love Local items that were there, including from Paul's Jewelry Shop. That was great to see that, and a very nice display. So it was good to see that outside of the downtown area. And there were some concerns that were outside of the Rochester area, in Oxford and so forth. So it was really nice to see. I just wanted to mention that, as Marilyn mentioned, the DAR project, the Daughters of the Revolution.
American Revolution.
Yeah, the commission will be participating in that. And as Marilyn mentioned, there's, we believe there's 4 Revolutionary War veterans that were buried there. 3 of them, they confirmed the paperwork. The 4th one, I believe they're still looking to confirm that. And that will be, most of them are, well, all of them are in that northeast corner of the cemetery there, the older part. Let's see.
Yeah, the stones should look a lot better than they're claimed. It's quite a process.
And that should cover it.
Don, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What time does it start on Sunday? And what time does it
2
end?
o'clock.
Okay.
At what location was it?
The Rochester, it will be in the calf barn at the Rochester Museum.
Well, fantastic. Any other questions for our Historical Commission liaison? Thank you for your report. We appreciate it. General business, first.
No, we got
I'm sorry.
PSD.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't, you know what? I always do that to you, and I'm just like, we always talk about it. I'm just like, I already know. But they don't know, so.
Okay, so PSD. We've done the farmer's market relocation to the east parking platform for 2025, so to alleviate any problems with construction.
Perfect.
For the Grand Project and for the farmer's market area. We have the Makers Market coming June 21st, Saturday, 10 to 6 on 4th Street. And there's a lot of participation in this, and I think it'll be a really good thing for Rochester. And I really invite all the residents and people from the area to go attend. We talked about, there's a DDA Love Local Art Committee that's working on art. There's the PSD assessment renewal, which we've already discussed, and we presented, that was presented last Monday night. And then we got Cookie Stroll that we're talking about in advance, but they're having 2 of them this year. It's so popular, and I love cookies. And then Deck Art, we already got that started. Registration, how many Deck Arts do we have?
As of yesterday, we only have 45 decks left out of 400.
Oh, that's too bad.
So if people want to
355
still,
decks are gone.
yes, so if you still want to participate, just a little bit of time, you get those at South Street.
Hustle up.
Yes.
Is there anything in this? Okay.
All right, well, thank you for your report. We appreciate it. All right, and marching forward, do I have a mouse?
Yes.
So update on the Graham. This is just kind of a general placeholder, so I don't have a ton to report, although we did get together, the subcommittee, and put together, had discussions with the architect and the construction manager, and we're before Planning Commission this coming Monday, or next Monday, so the first Monday in April, the 7th. I fly in at 2 p.m., so God willing, I will make it. Tony and I are going to try and be there, so it'll be but that will be to go over the stuff that we had talked about at the last meeting. So we had to get the drawings done, and we asked our architect to put the hammer down because we needed to get in on time. Apparently, there's a lot of stuff that goes on to get stuff onto the Planning Commission because we're not the only show in town, which we're very appreciative, and Nick got us on, so we're good to go. And so stay tuned, News at 11. As soon as that comes back, and assuming the approvals come in, which we think should be fine, then it'll go out to bid. The idea is we have numbers back by the end of April, so when we are rolling into May, we will know with very high confidence what the budget is. So with that, with respect to the budget, the budget subcommittee met on,
Monday.
on Monday. Hold on a second. Oh, there it is.
Just give it to Sarah. Yep.
Where's my arrow?
There you go.
I didn't even see the Indians. So we met on Monday. Let's just, so let's kind of talk about in general. So we met on Monday. received the numbers from the finance folks. On the call was myself, Marcy, Mayor Salvia, Christie, Nick, and, yeah, Bob. So yeah, it was a St. Patrick's Day attendee, so it was before the green beer visits. But anyway, so this is what Marcy had sent with respect to the budget, and as I always do, I can't look at all those zeros, so I take it and I kind of dumb it down a little bit so we can sort of understand it a little bit faster, at least to me. So these numbers are precisely the numbers coming from Marcy's budget. So we're in fiscal 2025 right now. And fiscal 2026 is what we're talking about. Again, this is the first time anybody in this room has seen this. This is not hard-coded. This is just kind of where things are sort of laying in. And my point here is to kind of show you what we've come up with and then answer any questions. And then if we have any reclassifications to do or whatnot, we'll hard-code those. On here, I'll update that and send this out to everybody so you have it, but it was kind of pointless to send it out because it's not really anything other than sort of a discussion point. So anyway, be that as it may, property tax capture, this is coming right from the city. This is what their forecast is for our capture. And just for grins, I wanted to know and I asked Marcy, where do we get our money from, right? So about 66% or 2/3 of the money that we take in comes from Rochester city tax capture. 20% of it comes in from the county capture. And then the rest is kind of sprinkled through the infield here. But OCC, RTA, which is the bus thing, right?
Yep.
HCMA, I always forget what that one is. And then county parks. So these are captures. So to the extent that the DDA is in existence, these are dollars that don't come from us. This is being kicked in. So $873,000 in the current fiscal year that we're in of our $2.2 million budget came from folks outside of the different taxing jurisdictions, and that's what the TIF does. It captures those taxes. So just FYI. So roughly 2/3 of our $2.2 million budget this year is coming from Rochester City tax capture, and the rest is coming from those others that are listed there. This thing is bouncing all over the place. I think it's because, oh, wait. Wait, did you? Oh, crap.
Oh, dear.
Is there any reason why the delinquencies are so much higher in 2024 than?
No idea. All right, hold on.
It seems like a huge jump, right?
This is annoying.
Yeah.
Please stop. Okay, thank God. All right, anyway, so the green is the budget year that we're talking about. So revenue-wise, this is our revenue on top. So stabilization is money that comes from the state. The Main Street Oakland County grant, you guys are aware of that. If you add those two together, it should be right around $930,000, $931,485. So $698 we've already received from the county, and then the balance we're getting in this coming fiscal year. DDA business development, it's $25,000, it's always that every year, and we adjust for whatever actuals are. We're adding a farmer's market line in here because, as I'm going to explain in a minute, we're going to take from the PSD the farmer's market activities just because it's tied to the GRAM, and it's just, it was just messy. So the DDA itself is going to deal with the GRAM and the GRAM activations. And then I asked Christie to give me an idea of just sort of taking a swag at what an activation budget may look like for things at the GRAM. And Christie, I don't know if you want to take a second.
Sure.
Run through this, but this is what she, how do I get rid of this thing? This is going to drive me crazy.
Good luck.
Oh, thank God.
Perfect. So Ben asked me to take a crack at this, knowing that the farmer's market will be coming over to DDA, because as Ben said, it's just kind of messy, and it just made sense because the farmer's market's expanding into the Graham building, so how would we even separate that out? So working with the team, we went over everything, went and walked the building, measured it to figure out what kind of things we could do in the building, vendor spaces, all that kind of stuff, and this is where we landed. So the first of the column B, we did it November through June. That's our anticipation of when we would get in the building, whereas the other two columns are are representing a full year. So this is just going to be a partial. So pulling in farmers market Saturdays in the Graham, 30 vendor spaces at $30 each. We did everything at current rates. Obviously, once we get into the building, I'm sure there's going to be some massaging of rates, both for the farmers market proper and for the farmers market in the Graham. But just for talking purposes, I felt like it was fair to use the numbers that we're already charging for different things. So just right out of the gate, even though we have a laundry list of things that we would like to do, we thought that these were things right out of the gate that we wanted to tackle. So obviously, farmers market Saturdays expanding into the Graham is one. Third Thursday events, we have had success with these in the past, but just doing them throughout the summer, whereas we'd like to make this a standing event that we do at the Graham every third Thursday, regardless of time of year. So that'd be 12 of those. The Halloween Makers event, this was actually something that we had programmed on the PSD side. It was going to be at Community House, and it was going to be in September of 2020. I'll leave that there. So we've had it in mothballs, just kind of waiting for its moment, because we do get a lot of people that even though we do Christmas, Halloween is kind of a big deal, and we have a lot of makers that specifically do Halloween type things. There are other cities that have large Halloween crafter and maker festivals like this, so we think we're going to take a crack at one of those for 26, 27. We also get a lot of requests for Flea. Flea is not as, what's the word I'm looking for? Flea has been elevated, so that's why we were playing around with the title.
Fancy.
It's, yes, hence the word fancy. This is just a working title. We're not stuck with this. But the Fancy Flea and Antique Market, we have a lot of people that would like to see something like that as a part of the traditional farmers market, whereas we've always been traditional with the food-based, anything garden-related, plants, things like that. So we thought this would give us a unique opportunity on not Saturdays that we would be able to program something like this. And we thought February is a nice time to do it in the Graham because it's cold out, people want to be inside, and we don't have a lot of programming in the month of February. We'd like to bring back our Farm to Table. We're calling it our themed dinner series at this point. Within the building, as I've mentioned before, our Farm to Table was wildly popular, but the weather was not ever workable with us. So having a building now gives us a lot more flexibility. So we're talking about spring, summer, fall. These would be a themed dinner series that we work with the restaurants downtown. Each one would take a course of the meal that people would enjoy. We'd have a little light entertainment that goes with it, nice ambiance. So we're kind of excited about bringing those back because they were popular and it broke our hearts to not have them anymore. We'd like to bring in an annual Graham fundraising event. We think because this is going to become sort of a nice centerpiece of our downtown, and we thought it might be nice every year if we have an event to recognize that, have some fun, kick up our heels, and raise some money to continue supporting programs at the Graham. One of the things that we talked about when we were in Texas is eventually once we get a little traction, this would be programmed out right now for 27, 28, is having a big summer festival. We're just kind of playing around with the name Graham Slam just because it rhymes and you know how I like that. But we decided it'd be something fun, incorporating a food festival, which we talked about quite a bit where it's something themed. One of the ideas that's been thrown about, you're going to like this, Tony, is called Hot Dogs, H-A-U-T, because we figured what food is iconic to Rochester. And we thought hot dogs, but we'd make it fancy so that local chefs could come in and do their version of an upscale hot dog, per se. Beautiful. Things like that. But that's just one idea that we had. But there'd be sponsorship, we'd have vendor tables, merch, concert on the stage, like all kinds of like a big summer party like we've always talked about wanting, but didn't have a place to put it. And then the other thing we talked about, and this is programmed out to 27, 28, are the hands-on cooking classes. While we did not install a proper kitchen into the Graham, there are items you can rent that you can use for a cooking class. And I'm looking at my cooking class queen over there. Hi. So we'll be bothering you. So yes. But this is something, and a lot of people have asked for this in the past. We used to do cooking demos, and we still do at the market to a certain extent. It's just challenging outside trying to cook things. So that's something else that we wanted to put on. But like I said, this is just a portion of what we have. As Ben very eloquently says, we're really going to listen to the community and see what hits, what doesn't, what the demands are, what people think they'd like to see, and then we can adjust as we go. But we wanted to put together something that we thought was a little aggressive, but we are very excited for the building and we want it to be used as much as humanly possible.
Yep. And I asked Christy and the team to, let's be realistic. I didn't want to just drop numbers on you guys and say, this is what we're thinking. You said, well, how did you get to these numbers?
Yeah.
So this is some of the thoughts. Again, so this is conservative. We don't know what we don't know until we get in there. But the other thing that I wanted to kind of show by this is that we're not intending to compete with anybody this is just, community-related stuff, right? So anyway, so this number here for the grant activations is the net cost. So that 24,550 for fiscal year ended 6/30/26 would be revenue less expenses. So rather than go through and detail it out at this time, I just wanted to put that in there so we had that. Interest went down, I don't know why it went down 100 grand. Interest rates are going up. Oh, I know why, because we got cash that's leaving and we have less
I believe
cash.
so, yes.
Yes, all right. Now, that makes sense. Cross-charge, administrative cross-charge down significantly. We're going to talk about that in about 20 seconds. And miscellaneous income, $1,100, so whatever. So we're at $2.7 million of inflows, of which 2.2, nearly 2.3 is tax capture, 232 grand is the balance of the Main Street Oakland County grant, and the rest is sort of sprinkled the infield as stated there. As was mentioned a little bit ago, I don't know if any of you guys have been on DDA, maybe Paul has been on DDA long enough, but for a long time, the promotion staff was on DDA payroll. And then during my tenure on council, so I don't know how long ago it was, but we split them off and pushed them over to the PSD. There's been a significant discussion and debate at PSD and within the electeds as to what, is tolerable in terms of the PSD assessment. So we were asked, all right, what would it look like if we took the ladies back? And that's what this reflects. So the net, I want to say was like 170 grand additional because there were some cross charges before, but you see the number here now it's, almost double, right? But that's bringing the ladies back over plus the benefits. So that's what's included in that number just for discussion purposes. All the rest of the stuff is fairly straightforward, carrying over. The dumpsters are annoying, but they are what they are. Biz dev is pretty much unchanged. Rent is the rent of the studio. PSD merchant fees is the credit card stuff. Isn't that what that was?
Yes, that's the credit card fees.
Yeah, and it's not just PSD, it's more than that. So I'm actually going to get some detail, but it's only 14 grand. I hate to tell it's only 14 grand. And then farmer's market costs. So up here I had 28 grand in revenue on farmer's market and 17,000 in costs. So the net would be what farmer's market, just the general farmer's market does. So of the $2.7 million coming in, about 950 is referred to as operations, although I don't know how I would quantify the farmer's market, but I guess we could do that. And then we've got cross charges out, so this would be being paid to others, largely administration, our contribution towards Nick.
That's for them the city administers our finances, our
finance,
benefits.
Legal, everything.
Legal, everything.
Yeah. So audit, all that stuff. So that's that. And then from the capital side, we have the Big Bright Light Show. Our continuing $200,000 has not changed. CapEx, all other, so this would be sort of the dumpster that includes the lights and then other sort of projects in the district. This 181.2 is actually, this thing is driving me crazy, is actually our debt service on the loan with Chief Financial Credit Union. It's 15.1 something a month, so I just rounded it to 15.1. For purposes of discussion, until we get the budget back from Rewald after the things go out, let's take a second and kind of go back in the Wayback Machine. So back when we, come on, there we go. All right, so this is from last year. So this, I just grabbed it from that spreadsheet. 188,999, I have to change that a little bit. So we said, we bought the property for 1,375. We had said just under $2.4 million in build out. And then the mortgage interest over the term, so the total project cost all in, including the purchase of the land, was $33,925,000. So this is all in land purchase and the build out, less $925,000 we got from the county. Again, this was in April 17th of 2024, before we even knew what that was going to be. Total cost of the DDA is about $3 million, less the value of the property. We're buying property, it's got value, so you would take that off. So the actual DDA TIF cost would have been 1.6, and this is what we presented to council, this is what we presented here, and then I kind of went through an exercise of what it might look like as outflow for fiscal year. So We said back in April 17 of 2024, we were just under $2.4 million. This is the number that everyone was rolling with, and we were all on the same page at. And then over my updates with you guys over the course, over the course of the last, ensuing time since April of last year, a year ago, it's going to be somewhere around 2.8. So for purposes of this budget, I'm using $3 million spread out over the course of 3 fiscal years. Again, I don't know what it's going to be because we haven't gone out to bid yet. My guess is it's going to be lower, and I don't know what year these are going to go in, but I'm trying to be as conservative as possible on this one, so we can take a look to see what happens with respect to our capital balance. Again, the DDA does not have a fund balance, as it were, because it's monies that are reserved for future capital improvements. It takes on a look like a fund balance, but it's not the same thing. Street capital fund. So I got these numbers actually from Mayor Salvia this morning. So apparently yesterday there was a infrastructure subcommittee meeting. And she said that it's 230 this year, this coming year, 400 for 27, 500 for 28. And then after that, she wasn't sure. There was a placeholder in there for $1.4 million, but it was very, very sketchy and very unclear. So I'm just going to leave it at 5 going out. And how I've done this sheet is this is the exact same one that you guys saw last year. I just added in the actuals for 26 instead of forecast. And we just show through the TIF terminal year. So the TIF actually ends on 12/31/2030. So in looking at the most important thing, so starting capital asset balance, this would be the monies that are revenues less expenses. So if this was a city budget, this would be the fund balance. But the starting number I got from Marcy, and that's what it is as of whatever we met, Monday. And then from there, we, actually, she gave me this number and I backed into it. So 650. So we're at 1.1770 after fiscal 24. We're going to be at 2.3 after the year that we're sitting in right now. That becomes the beginning balance of 2026. And then all of the ins and outs that I just showed you, we're going to draw down 1.974 million of that. So our capital reserve after that particular transaction will be 327. Again, we won't know until we get the bids back, but that's for planning purposes. That's where I'm at right now, or where things are sort of sitting. And then the following year, with a 450 being pushed into fiscal 27 for the Graham, we have basically a $37,000 capital balance. And with that, we're still making our commitments to Capital Street or Street Capital Fund, the 325 that we're committed to on parking capital. So those none of that has been changed or impacted. And this is consistent with what the forecast that we had laid out. Then after that, until I get clarity from the infrastructure committee as to what that looks like, but the DDA exists to do capital projects, and this is a giant swing. And but the good news is we're not upside down in any given year. So that's the good news. And then as of 12/31/2030, when the DDA TIF ends, big old goose egg, everything gets transferred over. Now, that's if council doesn't vote to extend the TIF, which we're all hopeful and optimistic that will happen. But for planning purposes, this is the exercise that we go through. So with that, the only really major things that are different than what has happened in prior years is us taking the ladies over here from promotions. And like I said, that net delta, net of cross charges and whatnot, was about 175-ish grand if memory serves. And then just sort of me using this $2.3 million placeholder for this coming fiscal year. Again, I don't know what it's going to be until May. The good news is we should have that before the budget goes to city council. So we should have really good clarity on that in fairly short order, fingers crossed. So with that, that's my report, and I open up the floor to questions.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
The money we capture from the city on taxes, is it from residential or strictly commercial
It's all
property?
properties in the district.
All properties?
In the district. So when the TIF was created, there's 2 TIFs. In 1984 is the big one, and then there was another one in 96 or 95, something like that. But what happens is when, this is not unique to Rochester, this is just how the TIF works. when a tax increment financing authority is created, the property values at that point in time are frozen in time, and anything collected thereafter goes into the TIF fund. So that's the TIF dollars that are coming in. The idea is that you're reinvesting in the district to drive the value up, which clearly would work as intended. So that's how the TIF works. And then with respect to capture, it's everything that is taxed. So it's not just Rochester. It is, as I showed you guys before, this thing is skipping all over the place. Well, no, actually not schools anymore. They're out. Nope, schools are out. That was voted out several years ago. Those guys got out. So OPC operating is 36 grand, so it's not a ton. County general, 457, so they're kicking in 457 as far as capture. Parks, 75 grand. OCC, 171, and the Regional Transportation Authority. Oh, gotcha, here in Clinton, gotcha. So as I said before, so of our $2.2 million coming in,
Like the Metro Parks, right? Okay.
about 800 grand of which is captured from outside of the community. So if not for the DDA, those dollars would not exist for us to reinvest in the community.
And also, if I can add, if you didn't have a DDA, you as La Pumas would still pay your taxes, but only a portion would stay here. The rest would go to all those taxing authorities.
Right.
Okay.
By having a DDA, 100% of your taxes stay here, 100% of your taxes have to be spent within the district.
Well, 100% of what's captured.
Yes,
Yeah, so it's like,
Yes.
it works out to be like 80-something% if
Yeah.
memory serves.
yes.
This is being in,
School get out?
school's been out for, gosh,
It was-
good 10, 15 years.
It's,
mean,
I
it was
think it's
before I was-
actually, I think it was around 2000 that they finally did. It was with proposal, what they did is they pulled out, but they allowed cities that already had
Debt.
bond debt to fulfill and still capture. So we were still capturing it beyond the time that we could, just enough to pay bond debt. So it might have seen, it was on our books longer, but it was terminated back around 2000. Is that around? Yeah, I think that's about,
Yeah, it was.
yeah, it's been a minute.
It wasn't around when I was on council, but I
Yeah.
do remember in looking at, normalize it, that was there.
One more question
Yes,
about that. Was that the state that changed that?
It was the
Or
state,
was it
yeah.
the local school?
No,
board?
it was state.
Okay.
Yeah, it was statewide, so they
Because I
took
know
that
early
out.
on, we went and talked to school and showed them where it was an advantage to us to let us do this downtown because people were building better and better homes because they wanted to live around a good downtown. And you'd ask, even out in Adams Road and all over, it wasn't just downtown, it wasn't just Rochester.
Yeah, no, it was a statewide
And
decision.
they seem to understand that.
Well, there's a reason why Rochester Hills has our downtown on their website. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this was thank you for
Yeah.
this great explanation. I know
Yeah,
you
sure.
guys work really hard on this budget. I used to be a part of the process, actually, a little bit, a few times. So I just have a question about Taylor and Jenna to explain that a little more. So were they 100% paid by the PS, or wasn't it a cross charge?
There was a cross charge.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I said. So
Right, so-
this is coming back, but the cross-charge has gone down to sort of offset a portion of that. So the net is about 175 grand, something like that, if memory serves.
So you mean that, so the PSD is paying nothing now, or?
Correct.
Okay, but they are doing work for the PSD, right?
We're trying, yes, they are, well, they're doing work for everybody.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I mean, it's a
So I guess this goes back to what is the benefit of,
Yeah, what's the benefit
yeah,
of
so
moving
to
these
the
numbers
point that
around
Roger
on
just made, we're
an
creating
abstract way?
Yeah, sure, no, so the point that Roger just made, we're creating an environment where people want to come and do it. So is the value there because of the events and everything that we're doing, or is it, straight? So it's gray. But it was
So, I
always these
mean,
people.
Is it to keep, I guess let's get down to the facts, is it because you want to spend more of the PSD dollars?
No,
for
we
that?
want to the council had provided direction that we had to reduce the PSD assessment, and this is the only way we could do it.
Okay, so that's how you're getting it back under.
Yeah, well, it's part of it, yeah, but, yeah.
I mean,
Just-
I just.
Yeah, it's still, it's out of the right pocket or the left pocket, it's still got to come from someplace, right? So,
It used to be all one big pocket. I
Yeah,
remember
right.
those
But we
days.
can't call it a shell game, right?
well, I don't want Doge to show up, right?
All right.
Yes. Any other questions?
No, that was
I have a
great.
question.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
for that free station.
Um,
For me.
Now, we're going off of memory, and that can be sketchy sometimes, but several meetings ago, I think I remember us talking about kind of boosting or somehow sharing information about the DDA out to people, maybe getting it out there more what we do so that they're not questioning why we're doing it. I hear little chirps here and there from people out in our community, and I'm talking about right in downtown, and I'm talking about some business owners. They don't know what we're doing and why we're doing it, and they say that it doesn't even affect them.
Are you sure it's not the skaters that?
No, right. So, well, I do, as a very small business owner, I do understand, well, what does this bring to me? You know, I understand that feeling. And so, but how do we get that information to them? Like, I wrote this down, by having a DDA, 100% of what's captured gets used downtown and not the whole district. Did I get that right? Maybe they need to hear that, the business owners, like, is there a meeting we can have where we can say, this is how we help you? Because like, they're not looking online, they're too busy, they're like, their elbows deep, you know, working. So how can we get them all in?
I'm not sure if this would help, but we talked, actually, I'm skipping ahead, Paul, to business development for a second. We talked about the Business Development Committee hosts an annual meeting that all the businesses and property owners are invited to, and Nick usually recaps, you know, big projects that have happened in the past year, upcoming projects. We usually have one special topic, and maybe our special topic for this one could be, you know, what does your DDA do for you? And maybe dig in with that. And then for people that don't attend, we could then put together a written something that then could be emailed out to everybody to make sure it gets into everybody's hands. If everybody, I'm just going with stuff that we kind of have going on. And I will say that with the Graham and everything, I think there's going to be a stepped up amount of communication with the businesses about this project. So I'm sure I'll get a lot. We always did, I remember like with Main Street Makeover, we do this who, what, where, when, and a lot of it is, who is paying for this? And where's that money coming from? And why are we doing it? And that kind of thing. And we will be putting something together like that for the Graham. And so maybe it's something we can build on with that. And then we can just kind of keep going. And as we get feedback, move and double down on things that we need more of. Oh, I see Nick's approaching.
I feel moved to say something. You guys are the ambassadors. You should be able to tell them, look at that light pole, look at that landscaping, look at all, not the events, look at everything else. There, that's where your dollars are going for. You guys need to be the ambassadors. You should be able to answer that off the top of your head.
I do have to say, I did say something similar to that effect, and she said that light pole doesn't work.
Well, you're going to get people like that, all right?
Okay,
so.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, but I agree with you. We are the ambassadors.
To say,
Yeah.
how can you ever wonder what your dollars are doing for when you look at downtown?
Yeah.
It just blows my mind.
I know.
I love when people come in and ask me. I'll take them outside and take them on a walk. It's real simple. Just right where it's at.
I totally understand with you. I was just saying that was just the response I got back.
So, yeah, a couple things. I'll get to you in 1 second, Marilyn. So, we've talked before about, you know, there's stuff that happens within the downtown and creating traffic to come in for these business owners to have traffic and have exposure and have the lights and have people come down and do everything else, right? So I don't care how hard you work, there's always going to be people out there that say, you guys don't do nothing for me, blah, blah, blah. And you just have to just sort of, you know, when the penguin's on the boat, just nod and wave, boys, nod and wave. That's all you can do. Because I know the reality of the situation. You would not be seeing all this development in this community, in the greater community in general, if not for a strong downtown. So that's the message that needs to get communicated. And then also, too, if they were at the Village of Rochester Hills, or if they were at Somerset, or if they were at wherever, they're going to pay a CAM fee for maintenance, or for marketing and effort. So when the Easter Bunny is at the mall, that money is coming from someplace, and the merchants are paying that. All the PSD is the same, that assessment is in effect the same thing as what would happen if you were at a large, sort of outdoor mall, or even back in the day, the indoor malls. It's actually a lot less, yeah, for sure. So to Nick's point, I'm happy to engage anyone in those conversations because I think it's incredibly short-sighted, but we'll never be able to make everybody happy no matter how we try. So it's just like, you just got to, pick your battles and just say, yes, sir, I understand, and just move on.
I do agree we need to be the ambassadors, but there's
100%.
only so many people I can reach.
Yeah.
And if I hear chirping, I try to chirp back, but.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people, no matter how much you try and tell them, it's never enough. It's like, yep, I understand how you
From
feel.
the beginning of the DDA, it's been the same thing.
100%,
And it's
yeah.
usually a small group of people that maybe have coffee together.
Oh, yeah.
And, but it's always been that way.
Yeah. in the ham radio world, they refer to those as the sad hams, but anyway, so. I'm sorry, Marilyn, please.
Yes, I've heard this a lot, but I do agree with Tanya. Just a list of some key talking points, Christie, you
Yeah.
can send them to me as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we're both in the communications business, and really, just what you said, Chairman, about at the mall, you're gonna pay you're gonna pay for the marketing that they do, cam tax. And as a service that I provide, but it's business to business, I would tell people if they had their attorney or whoever, or insurance, my insurance agent, is in downtown, that, I could get I had a better choice of employees, I felt like, being in the creative industry, because they liked a thriving, vibrant downtown. Now, if I was like in a cubby somewhere in Rochester Hills, I don't think I would have gotten the high level or high caliber of young people that really want to be in a downtown. It's urban
That's
to
huge,
them,
yeah, for sure.
more than going to in a strip mall. So those were the things I would talk about and say, look, how, people, and that's why I'm in this downtown, because I like, I love this, and I love the walkability. So, I mean, and it's also very intentional marketing to market
For sure.
the town and all the effort that goes through it, so that was what I would talk about, was the employees
Yeah, so I
as well.
think some talking points would be great, and we'll absolutely work on that. Always good. Well, I think Eric first, and then Roger, sorry.
Yeah, we have a TIF terminal here in 2030. Are we just gonna 12/31 to 2030, we're just gonna throw like a big blowout party and just dissolve? Like, what is I guess, what is the process to
So,
extend,
well, so it's a vote of council. Council decides whether the TIF gets, so the way the TIF works, just quick, Michigan, it's like pretty much every state, but Michigan TIF 101, is that the Tax Increment Financing Authority is created. It has to have specific deliverable elements. It cannot be forever. Those communities that I had mentioned that we're capturing from would love nothing less for us to end the TIF as soon as possible, because they could cloud that
They get more
money
money back, right?
Correct. But as long as we are fulfilling what our objective is in the TIF, which is capital improvement, and, to wit, one giant farmer's market going in, this is why the DDA exists, right? So that money is being reinvested in the community. So when we talk to people about, well, why are you putting a farmer's market? Well, we're creating more demand for the community. It's going to bring more people in, more traffic, or not traffic, but more shopping traffic. It's going to create additional demand. I can guarantee you 10 years from now, when I'm in my walker, I'm going to be down there, and there's going to be housing development all around down there, and it's going to be fantastic. And people are going to go, those guys in the DDA, they really knew what was going on when they did this project. But half of us will be dead, and the rest will be like, what? It'll be fine. But so that's the deal, right? So people don't, it is what it is, and you'll always have sort of that,
So we don't need to form like an ad hoc committee?
Well, no, so the thing is that it's up to council. Of course, we would love to extend it, but you can't just extend it to extend it. There's got to be a purpose.
Sure.
So it's going to be to go through, look at the TIF plan, make sure that the objectives that we have require additional time, and whatever that time is, and then, I'm not exactly sure the whole process, but it's mostly just council.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
it's-
we don't need a committee to start planning to
I mean,
talk to council like the next year or so?
so the problem is that we can have those discussions now with this council, but you're going to have probably 4 or 5 or 6 elections between now and then.
Well, we'll just
So you
plant-
don't know
we'll
who you're
plant
going to
the
be.
people we want on the board.
Yeah, right.
You know.
We'll get all the kids together now that are.
You're going to get people who are going to take that seriously.
So the answer to the question is yes, it's a little early, only because we don't know. I mean,
Sure.
it's going to be great to have those discussions and get prepared for it, but it feels like it's going to be probably a fiscal 29 conversation.
Okay, that just,
So we got plenty of time, and we're still, meeting our objective, and we're still working our plan. It has not been completed yet. But by God's good grace, we're going to get this farmer's market over the curb, and then we'll go on to the next thing, because there's other stuff that we want to do. This isn't the only thing. So, to the extent that council decides that, yep, we need you guys to continue, which we hope, we'll continue to do this exact same stuff at another place in town. It'll be great.
thank you, Chairman.
I think I want to add to that. It's probably a good thing to tell people too, is that, why did you come here? I mean, you could put your business in cheaper in Romeo or Oxford or Oregon, but you come here because the DDA has created a downtown that's strong, and now people want to be here. And I've been up around Oxford, quite a bit of time up there.
Yeah, sure.
And it's, I couldn't get a building rented up there.
Yeah, yeah. What's our, it was like 96% occupancy, 99%? Yeah, so, excuse me, guys. Is there any other, no, you're good, it's okay. Multiple meetings are fun. As long as you don't hit me, we're good. So any other questions with respect to the budget? Is there any other changes that you want me to make, or does this seem reasonable? The only thing, like I said, I don't know on is the FYE 2025 is just what the finance department says they think what's going to happen with respect to the balance of the year. So, I mean, we're sitting here at the end of March, so it should be a pretty good indication. There's only a couple months left. The $2.3 million placeholder, again, was just until we get this thing quoted out, and then we'll go from there. But I was mostly wanting to know, can we keep our commitments to the council with respect to parking and the capital, the capital improvement in the district, roads and whatnot? Yes is the answer to that question based on these numbers. Are we upside down in any given year? No. Are we close in '27? Yes. But that's dependent on what happens with respect to the needs for capital in 2027, which, you know, it's not even, it's 3 years from now. So anyway, everybody feel good about this? Happy?
I feel good about it.
Okay, all right, so I'll go ahead, I'll codify this, we'll get it out in a PDF and send it out to you guys post haste, and then, again, this is just a placeholder until we get the numbers back. So I don't want anybody to start having aneurysms that, right?
And, yep, and then this will be what we present at council on April 14th is when we're doing
Correct.
council.
Yeah, because we won't have the numbers back then. I think we'll be just getting the bids back right about that point in time. So maybe by the next council meeting, we might have them. I don't know. I'll have to ask Sean what his thoughts are. But for sure, by the time we do the public hearing on the budget, we'll definitely have those. So, or I'm not, there's no such thing as definite in this world, but we're shooting to have those for the public hearing. Any other questions? All right, very good. Thank you for your time. I apologize for that, but it was a lot to, if I can just get it closed. Anyway, so we'll move forward while I'm dinking around. Downtown Places and Spaces survey results. You need this thing, don't you?
I do. I'm actually going to go over to the
All right, here,
podium
take it.
too.
Because I have a thing, part of the problem is that I'm so far.
Is it you?
It's transmitter issues.
All right. I'm just going to go up here. Back to its home, so. we know
Oh,
where we
yeah,
are.
way better.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so, at our last meeting, we were talking about ways that we could get public input regarding specifically the donor wall park, which is a pet project of Tony's, that we want to, remake that, do something different with it, respect the people that had donated to the donor wall, transfer those efforts over to the Graham. So Taylor had chimed in at the last meeting and said that it'd be kind of cool if we did a social media input for a survey where you kind of do a this or that kind of approach. And so we most recently just tackled this, so I wanted to go over how we did it and what the results were. So we placed it. We created Instagram story, March 13th and 14th, and I'll give you an idea of what that looks like. And then we also sent out a link to SurveyMonkey, which is our online survey source, through our downtown texting service, and that survey was open March 13th through the 17th. So everything, we had 8 different categories. We tried to keep it something broad and also something that could be interpreted, things that could be merged together, but we tried on 4 different slides that people could vote A or B. Art or picnic, something that's passive and active in everyone. So our 8 that we put up, we had art versus picnic, bocce or chill, we had read or we had music, and then we had work and we had play. Again, these are just iconic photos. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're putting out 15,000 cornhole boards and calling it a day. It's just this is sort of inspiring photos, things that we had heard from people. They'd love to have a place outdoor to sit and eat, or a place to do work, or something more active. So we put these out onto our social, which we have a pretty strong following. And on the engagement, the Instagram story, we had over 1,600 participants. It was on an Instagram story, so it only rolls for 24 hours. So in that time, we had 1,600 participants. The online survey, so our downtown texting service, we have about 1,700 people on that service, and of that, 792 of them clicked through and completed the survey, which is like a 45% return on that one. So pretty darn good. So.
It's really high.
Yeah, sure does. We were really excited. Honestly, we were at home, we all have the logins, and we're texting each other with screenshots. We're like, oh my God, oh my God.
I did both.
We were having a grand old time. Yes, I said some people may have, which is totally fine.
This goes to only people who live downtown?
Nope, these are people that are, that follow us on Instagram. So it could be anybody.
Stakeholders.
I must have missed it.
Yep, could be anybody. And then same thing with the texting service, anybody who signs up for it, so they could be anywhere.
I signed up for it, but I didn't get it.
You should have done it.
Yeah. Huh. Maybe I didn't sign up for it. Maybe I just did it in my head.
So over the course of a couple days, we had over 2,300 participants, and here comes the results. So starting at number 8, work. Apparently people do not want to have a downtown workspace.
I would have voted for-
Lowest amount
I would
of
have
votes at
voted for it.
829.
That's so.
Number 7, apparently people don't want to chill out down here either. I feel like maybe that is a nod to the fact that we have this beautiful park, that if you want to go and have a place to just relax, maybe we already are filling that niche. Number 6, read, which we are kind of surprised. And it was interesting if you looked at the Instagram versus the Survey Monkey. I think that the Instagram was skewing a little bit younger. Read and music were literally 1 point away, 1 vote away at all times. It was the craziest thing. But then the Survey Monkey pushed music a little bit higher into the survey. Art came in at number 5 with over 1,200 votes. Picnic, just 1 more vote. So people want more places to eat downtown. Because I think even though picnic, I don't know that we necessarily mean come and plop down, but maybe more places you can sit and eat, which I know we've talked about quite a bit here. Number 3, music. A lot of people like something that might encourage some type of music, some interactive musical element. This one's for my chairman of the Site Development Committee. Number 2, bocce. Yes, I felt Tony rooting for bocce. We did actually, we went out and measured to make sure before we put this on the list, it wouldn't be regulation, but you could put what they call a recreational size bocce court in that area.
We'll take it.
We measured just to make sure before we put on a survey and got people excited. So then number 1 with a bullet, play. People want to do, so I think that what we get from this is people want something that is active. People want things to do, and I know that Roger talked about up in Oxford how they activated that space with the cornhole and some of the other outdoor games up there. And it doesn't mean that we're gonna do one, we could obviously do a lot of things. The video that Taylor had put together on the reel to prompt everything, she didn't specifically call out the donor park. She actually showed a lot of fun places and spaces downtown that we have access to that we could do things with. So it wasn't, we didn't want people to feel like, oh, I know what that space looks like, so I think I know what could fit in there, just more free-feeling. So this was our list that we got back. So we're pretty excited about that. So now I guess the next steps is we're gonna take it to site development and start breaking it down, figuring what this looks like, and then come back to DDA with some concepts, and then start building some budgets and maybe some short and long-term planning.
Perfect.
That looks great.
We were very excited,
Nice
yes,
job,
but it was,
nice job.
yes, worked out very nicely. We were super excited. Any questions?
Well, I do.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I ask a lot of questions tonight. What did they originally pay to be on that board?
So I believe that the rates, if I'm not mistaken, it was 1,000 for a small plaque, 2,500 for the mid-size, and then the large size were 5,000. We only sold one of the large size, and technically we didn't sell it. It was for John Modet's when he did the $30,000 donation for the small park that is a chill park by Corner Bar. We gave him one of the big plaques as a BOGO, I guess. Thank you for doing that. So those are the prices. Whether we felt like maybe a little bit overpriced, I think that our challenge there was too that the brass plaques, or the bronze plaques, cost more, and then having to fix them. So there was more of a hard cost in those, whereas I think the donor wall that we've been looking at, some of the different concepts for the Graham, our point of entry is a lot less, so we able to price the donor obligations at a more reasonable rate.
Is it like the one at MSU Education Center or?
I haven't seen that one. This is kind of similar. It reminds me of, I
Like
know
U of
Nick
D, I mean, they got all
yeah,
those, right?
so it's not gonna be like this big, heavy, it's like more
Yeah.
visual, and then
Sure.
has lots of opportunities. What we are thinking is actually potentially 5 levels representing the 5 farms,
Oh.
5 farm types that we had in Rochester, kind of keeping that nod to our history.
like
Nick had mentioned maybe doing it on Barnwood, which might be kind of cool in there, so we're working on a few different ideas.
Sweet.
So,
Very good. Any other questions for our director? Good work as usual, thank you.
thank you, I'll tell the team, Taylor was super proud, she worked hard on this.
You can go ahead and close that if you want.
Yeah.
Only because the mouse works better over there.
I was getting really nervous sitting there, I'm like, oh.
It's like skip.
Okay.
Okay, 7A, director update.
Oh, Art.
Huh?
D.
D. Oh, I thought we just did that, sorry.
Nope.
I'm trying to put the hammer down. Love Local Art Program update, Madam Director.
As we talked about at Goals and Objectives, as soon as we left this meeting, I reached out to the Love Local Art Committee to see if they would be interested in getting back together. And we all were able to get together a couple weeks ago. As a refresher, on the committee is staff, plus two local artists, Sean Hayes, who's the director of Pink Creek Center for the Arts, and Shelley Tishka from Paint a Miracle. So that's been our core committee. And we went over the agenda with them that we have some short and long-term things to be working on. In the short, working on starting to put together an RFP for the murals for the Market and the Graham, for the back of the Huntington Bank, as well as that piece of the stage that we talked about last month, incorporating those two things together. So Sean is helping us put together some draft paperwork of what we'd be looking for, polling different artists to find out ranges of what that might cost to hire someone, things like that, process and all that. So we're hoping to have that back to DDA in April to take a look at so we could get moving on that, because regardless of what's happening with everything else, we could be working on that right now. So we're excited about that. Talked to them about expanded outreach. We know City Beautiful had come up, library, OPC, but everyone, their homework was to go back and put together a list of other organizations that either they've worked with or that they're aware of in the greater Rochester area that do engage in art, to figure out ways that we can then get engaged with them as we're moving forward, because the overall goal, as set up by Mayor Salvia and everybody seemed pretty excited about, is to put together a citywide art plan, which we're pretty excited about that. So starting with mural first, identifying partners, and then we're hoping by May we'd be before everyone with the plan, rough plan of how we're going to get to the city art plan. We're already talking about engagement opportunities throughout the summer at existing events. Sean at Pink Creek had already generously offered that we could have a space at Art Naples to do some things. So we're kind of excited. So still to come, but everybody's really enthusiastic, and we are, as Ben likes to say, putting the hammer down, hitting mural first and then going from there.
Very good, very good. Any questions for our director? Yes.
The DIA pieces that are placed around town, how does that come about?
So you have to apply for that. We've had DIA pieces here 3 times now. So we were the initial DIA Inside Out program many years ago, and then we've had it twice since then. So you just have to put in an application. Typically, once you've had it, you can't get it back for about 4 or 5 years. And so we just had it last year.
Yeah, I remember seeing some.
Yep, so there's no cost to us. We just have to work with the property owners. We do a site walk with DIA, and they look at different areas of where they want to place things. We hook them up with the property owners because there's agreements and all that good stuff that has to be signed. And then the cost is fully on DIA. It comes out of the Tri-County millage dollars for the art in the zoo. So, yeah. And
yeah, I love seeing it, and I feel like that one stretch along 4th Street there that always has like one picture could have like 5 and be really, kind of fun.
Yeah, and they go through, because they only have so many pieces because they're pre-manufactured, and then they touch them up, and then, because they're specifically outdoor replicas. So most cities get anywhere from 3 to 9, I believe, and we usually hover around 7 or 8 is what they try to give us, because we are very flexible. Like, where you want to put it, we'll find a place, so we try to get as many pieces as possible. Also, they funded the mural that's on Main Street by Goodyear. That is a one-off, so they would have to run through all the other cities before we would be able to have them come back to do something permanent with us again, because I looked into that, and they said, once you get one, you got to wait, and there's a lot of other places that don't have them yet.
Okay.
So, but that was, again, fully funded through the DIA. We were really a conduit coordinating with business owners.
Okay.
Nice work.
Thanks.
Not a question, but just a comment. I was in another town and I saw all of their metal boxes were all painted. I almost took pictures and sent them to you just for.
Utility boxes are definitely on our list. They have been for a minute. There's a lot of fun ways you can do that. And we're excited, kind of leading into my director report, next month, we won't miss the DDA meeting, but the week prior to that, we're going to be in Philadelphia, which is known that they have one of the largest collections of public art in the country, specifically murals. So we're excited about that. But when we were in Boston, they had a very robust utility box program, and we have a ton of photos of that. So we've definitely been looking into that. It's on with the city art plan, it's definitely on the list, because there's a lot. You'd be surprised how many there are, and I've asked for maps, and we don't even know where they all are. Because of course we're going to do them, we want to go citywide, and so we've been talking about how the heck to find them all. But yes, so definitely on the list.
Makes me want to do the same in our neighborhood where all the cable boxes are.
Yeah.
I was in Cincinnati, and they have like you can go online and get their mural map, and they have like, so that's something we should consider promoting is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think
A
that'll.
map of all the public art.
For sure, and I think that's the plan, is once we get everything together, having short, mid, and long-term goals, then promoting it, putting it together as a package, so that it's not enough just to do it, it's then how are we promoting it, leveraging it, translating it into economic dollars for us. So, yeah, there's gonna be some fun, and there's gonna be definitely some real hard numbers and process and behind it, so you know how we roll.
Well, when I was in Japan, probably half of my phone is pictures of manhole covers. That was
Ooh.
their thing. They did was,
Send me those.
there were
Send me
some
those.
pretty sweet ones, so.
Yeah, we want everything. And the other thing that we talked about at the art committee is that art doesn't necessarily mean something that's painted. I think a lot of people feel like it's that, but there's a lot of other arts. There's, music as an art form, there's poetry, so it doesn't actually have to be visual arts. There's a lot of other arts and versions of visual arts as well. So we're going to try and cast a wide net to make sure that we're not just painting everything, or we're not just whatever, that there's a nice cadence and sense of what people are looking for and what they'd be excited about.
Yeah, it's amazing. So being in Tokyo, largest population in the world, right? But just, it's literally everywhere. Every time you turn around, there's something, it's just totally unexpected. So it's super
And that's something our line that I always use when I do presentations, that we try to surprise and delight our visitors.
cool. Yeah,
And I love that.
yeah, expect them for sure. All right, well, since you already started your executive director update, why don't you carry on?
We already mentioned, Marilyn already mentioned the outdoor dining platform, so thank you again. And then Oakland County Summit is tomorrow morning, so I'll be attending that. I think Paul's coming with me. That, you may recall, is where we were really lobbying hard for the ARPA dollars that ended up coming to fruition after the commissioners that attended that heard how much interest there was and how many potential shovel-ready projects there were. So.
Got more.
So I believe that the commissioners will be there again. County Executive Coulter is leading the day off for us, so hopefully we'll see if there's more money, more things to be found, and I'll report back to everybody at our next meeting.
Excellent. Anything else?
Nope, I think that's good.
Fantastic. Events and marketing, kind of touched on that, but.
Yep, County, I've already touched on all of that. We mentioned Deck Art, and then for Makers Market, we are accepting applications right now for Makers Market. So that's open, that's in June, but
Okay, so.
we're onboarding people right now.
Gotcha. Financial report in the packet. Any questions, get with the director or myself. Biz Dev.
Biz Dev, well, we have two buildings that sold recently, Smith Jewelers and Soul Sisters, and what they're going to become, we don't know yet, exactly. But it's good. Main Street, Oakland County Small Business Counseling is beginning of April 14th and 18th, from 12 to 4. There will be 8 45-minute visits available. And then the Business Dev Annual Meeting, which we had a discussion about that this morning, it's going to be at the credit union.
It's going to be at Chief Financial Credit Union. Yep, Tom offered the space to us.
Gets about 200 people, and so that'll be fun. And let's see, anything else I missed?
I think that's about everything. And then we're still setting the date, so we'll let everybody know once we get that settled, but we're trying to do something end of August, beginning of September, just based on availability at the credit
fantastic.
union.
And
So we'll
you
let
also-
everybody know.
The stuff that Paul just mentioned is also other reasons that go on that bullet list of why you have a DDA. Any other questions for Mr. Hague? Seeing none, marching forward, site, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Just working on the grant. This park, I'm excited about. We should set something up so we can all meet.
Yeah.
Do we have a survey on that property or no?
We had one, from when we did it the last time, but there's got to be someone somewhere. Yeah.
So we know just what we have to really work with. Okay, good.
Big enough for bocce, right?
What's that?
More bocce.
More bocce?
I measured him, bocce can fit.
I think it would be a hit. Even those pictures I sent you, you can almost combine the two. I mean, the families were using it. They had the fake turf in Florida. I sent her pictures. They had the fake turf out there, the little tables for the kids. You maybe put a bocce. I mean, it was not, they were using it, the people.
For sure, that's great.
Good.
So I can wear white jackets and smoke a cigar and have it.
Well, that comes later.
That's all part of the
You have to have
deal.
a ruler, though. Like,
This is true. Well, that's the Italian tradition.
to argue then.
Got it. All right. Any other questions or miscellaneous comments from the board and/or participants? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Good job.